What's up, guys? So it's winter, it's cold. I don't spend a lot of time on the river when it's cold. I don't like being cold. I know the fish are still there. The scenery is beautiful. There's not a lot of people. There's a ton of advantages to the winter. I just don't like being cold. What I do is I spend my time learning and improving my game, and I am hoping that you guys are doing that as well. So I thought I would share some of the things that I do in preparation to be safe while out on the water. So this is something I learned in a class called Combat Lifesaver while I was in the Army. That sounds a whole lot fancier than what it really is. Really, it was a class just to teach you how to keep someone alive until the real medical professionals got to them. And that's all we're doing here as well. I'm not teaching you how to be a doctor or anything like that. I'm just teaching you how to keep someone alive, and that's the ultimate goal if something bad happens. One of my biggest fears while guiding, I've guided for a while, and one of my biggest fears is being out on the river with a client and them having a heat stroke. You can do everything right, and you can drink water, you can drink electrolytes, eat a little bit of carbohydrates to help keep the water and the electrolytes in you. You can watch your body temperature, and you can be confident that you're never going to have a heat stroke while out on the water. But you never know what your buddy or what your client, if you're guiding, is doing. You never know if they're doing the right thing or not. So you have to be prepared in the event that they may not, especially when you're a guide. Now, this is really going to be determined by what type of cooler you have, and that will determine what method you're going to use here. I'll explain both, but if you have a day cooler or a cooler bag or a lunchbox or whatever it may be that you use when you're out kayaking, it's pretty simple. Well, the whole process is simple, but it's even easier because you're going to take a rag. Well, really, you're going to take, I like to have 5 or more. 5 is the bare minimum, but I really like to have way more. 10 to me is probably ideal, and I'll explain to you why. At least 2 rags that are like the dish towel size, that are not a full towel, but maybe like the size of 2 of these put together. This is like a regular wash rag. So 2 of the larger ones, and then several of these. So if you have like I said, a day cooler or a lunchbox or whatever, you're going to take these and you're going to stuff them down under the ice. And typically throughout the day, sometimes fairly quickly into the day, depending on what you have, you're going to have ice melt come down and wet these. And that's exactly what you want. Now, if you don't have a day cooler, let's say you have a more premium cooler like a Orion or something to that effect, you're going to take a Ziploc bag and the rags, and you're going to stuff them down in here. Now, I don't like to fold them or roll them or anything like that. It may be just personal preference, but to me it seems like they get colder when they're not folded. That may be absolutely insane, and I understand that. But I stuff all of those rags in the bag, and I fill the bag up with water just above the rag line. So there's my rags. I'm going to fill up to about right there with water. Typically, I'll also throw a few ice cubes in there as well, but I don't think you absolutely have to. Now, what you're going to do with this bag after you get all of those rags in there is you're going to stuff it down underneath the ice. Same way you did if you have a day cooler, except for it's going to be in this bag. Now, the reason you do it in the bag is because in a day cooler, in a premium cooler, you don't typically have much ice melt. So it's not going to get these rags wet like you want. So you're going to get the rags wet and then stuff them inside of the cooler. And the bag just helps them stay wet. So you're going to, like I said, you're going to stuff the bag down underneath the ice, let them get good and cold. And then in the event that you have a buddy or yourself having a heat stroke, the first thing you're going to do, well, first let's say the ultimate name of the game here is to slowly cool the vital organs back down. That's what you really want to do. So you're going to take the rag, I mentioned the two longer rags. That's what this here is for. So you're going to take the longer rag. The reason I say two is because once this one gets warm, you're going to switch it out for another cold one. So you're going to take the longer rag and you're going to drape it around their neck all the way around, not tying it, of course. And then you're going to take another one. You're going to shove it under their arm, both sides. And then they should have a PFD on. And if they do, this is going to help you. The PFD will help you. Now, some have told me that you should take the PFD off completely. I don't completely believe that. I have seen this with IBAs in the Army, and they did not take them off. They shoved these under the IBA. And I would say that that's probably a good idea. That's what I'm saying here with the PFD as well. Of course, you don't want it super tight. You don't want it restrictive. However, what you want to do is you take the rags, you unzip the PFD, take the rags, and this is where you take as many of them as you can get, and you pile them on their chest, and then you take the PFD and you bring it back over, and you can either snap it or zip it. I would prefer to snap it because typically when you zip it, it's going to be much tighter. Really, all you want the PFD for is to hold those cold rags against their chest. Like I said, the name of the game is lowering the core body temperature and the temperature of the vital organs. And so what that's going to do, those cold rags is going to help the body cool the blood down, or it's going to cool the blood down, and that cool blood is going to go through the organs and hopefully potentially save your buddy's life or yourself. So anyways, guys, I hope this helped, and I hope that you learned something from this. We'll talk to you later. Be safe out there.